So, welcome back to yoga, folks. And thank you guys for showing up today because Lord knows it's always a great time when I get to talk to myself for a solid period of time. And so, we're just going to go ahead and start off as per the usual. Deep breath in, reaching up for that ceiling right above us. Really reach back, push those hips forward, and then exhale nice and gently, letting ourselves relax down to the floor. And then deep breath again, nice and easily reaching back behind us, going through that cycle nice and easily 4 times. We're not in a big hurry. We're just letting ourselves follow that breath and letting our hips move through space, letting our shoulders try and open up and relax, and then relaxing on down. Good, folks. After you've gone through that cycle 4 times, I'm going to move things around so I can see everybody a little bit better since my screen is a bit small. So I'm pinning this. There we go. So let's go ahead and now, working our way to the front of that mat, we're going to take our time thinking about reaching for the ground nice and easily with one leg until we touch that floor, and then letting ourselves go back into that lunge, really just relaxing in there. And then let's go ahead and think about trying to reach as far behind us as we can. I'm a tight tiger, so I have a hard time. And then we're going to open to that ceiling. And then we're going to bring ourselves back on down. Back on down. Then let's go ahead and let that leg fall behind us. Meet ourselves in that cobra pose, really trying to let those hips touch the floor if we can, keeping those arms locked. And then let's go ahead and lower ourselves down and then press ourselves on back into that downward dog, trying to get those heels to touch the floor. Pressing on through, trying to open up those shoulders, realizing that this rug is not the high enough coefficient of friction and I'm sliding, but such is life. And then let's go ahead and stride on up and get into that lunge on the opposite side. Well, once again, we're going to go ahead and reach on through and then open up as high as we can to that ceiling, really trying to breathe through our positions, letting our hips open up, letting that knee go out to the side, breathing on into it. And then when we're ready, we're going to go ahead and bring that other leg up and meet ourselves in the bottom of that squat, wherever it meets us at, trying to get those heels on the ground, sitting back into it, counterbalancing ourselves. We can use our hands to open up those hips a little bit more if we'd like to. And then when we're ready, let's go ahead, stand it on up nice and easily, and then we're going to follow that through on the other side. So don't be in a hurry. Let yourself move from one position to the next. Good. So think, be to the front of that mat, Alexio. We're going to go ahead and again be reaching for the ground with that single, on that single leg, hands to the floor, letting ourselves come on back. Both hands are on the ground. Good. Let that rear knee touch the floor. Reach into that hip, and then we're going to go ahead, the hand on the side of the foot on the ground. We're going to reach as far behind ourselves as we can, breathing into it as we do. And then we're going to go ahead and open up as far as we can through those shoulders to the ceiling. Good, bud. And then we're going to go ahead and bring ourselves back down and then let those legs go straight to the ground behind us, breathing in on it, breathing on into it. And if you're not feeling that strong, you don't have to think about we're here and then we're down and then we're pressed through. Instead, you can think of it as we're going to be here, holding ourselves up, and then we're just going to lever on back with those hips, wherever we feel comfortable. And then let's go ahead, and we're going to get over into the other side, reaching on through as far as we can again, breathing into it, and then opening up those shoulders to the ceiling yet again. And then bring ourselves back on down. Good. And then when you're ready, go ahead, walk yourself back up into the bottom of that squat, breathing on into it, trying to get those heels to touch the ground, trying to let ourselves relax as far into the bottom of the squat as we possibly can. And then when we're ready, let's go ahead and think about standing it on up nice and easily, controlling our positions. Deep breath in, deep breath out, and then we're going to go ahead and go through that cycle 2 more times, once more in each leg. It's meant to be a warm-up, guys. It's not meant to be a punishment. Just breathe through it. Time. Good. And Nikki, if Alexio has any questions, go ahead and feel free to let me know, along with obviously else. I typically have most folks on mute, so you have to unmute yourself. And when in doubt, you can also throw up a question in the chat so I can kind of see where everybody's at.
Okay, will do. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Good. So take your time. Yep. Slowly reach for the ground. Slowly reach for the ground. It's okay to bend that leg as we're going forward. We don't need to think about our knees completely locked. We can think about having that nice soft knee. That's going to allow us to much more comfortably transition to the ground into that deep lunge. Wherever it meets us at, don't be in a hurry. Breathing on through. Breathing on through. No hurry. No racing. Just owning our positions, letting our body relax into it. We doing okay, everybody? Once you guys get through that cycle, going through twice on each side, let's be standing on our mats so I can see where everybody's at. Don't worry, we can do burpees later. For now, we're just trying to think about owning our positions, having our balance. So once you guys have gone through both those sides, we're just going to go ahead and just meet ourselves in the tree pose, wherever we prefer, wherever we feel comfortable. Good. Take your time, Alexio. Don't feel like you need to rush on through, bud. Don't feel like you need to rush on through. Own your positions. Let yourself move through them. Breathing nice and easily, owning our elements, and meeting ourselves in that tree pose wherever it meets us at. Then when we're ready, cross over, relax down, meet yourself wherever it meets you at. Breathing nice and easily, owning our balance. When we're ready, grabbing that toe, lifting ourselves up nice and high. Smart, Alexio. Do whatever you need to grab that foot. So let's go ahead and step on out, and let's go through that cycle nice and easily on the other side. Let's meet ourselves up in that tree pose, owning our positions. Trying to open up my shoulders, holding myself in a prayer position behind my back, which is invigorating to say the least with my shoulder mobility. You guys don't necessarily need to do that. Instead, we can go ahead and remember, lengthen that lever arm, reach yourself over high, and really force yourself to meet those positions in a more challenging way. Good. Breathing into it, owning it. Good. And step out. 2 more times on each side. Don't be in a hurry. Good to see you, Josie. Really good. Try to own those positions wherever you feel comfortable, folks. Nice. Good work, everyone. Just keep breathing into it. Take our time, own our positions. We're in no big hurry. Good. Yeah, when you take your arms away, it makes the balance a lot harder, Alexio. That's completely okay. So we can reach behind us if we feel comfortable. Oh, tight tiger. It's okay. Don't be in a hurry, guys. Find a spot on the wall, find a spot on the floor, find an object that you can keep your vision on and hold your position. Because remember, folks, we have those 3 systems that are helping us balance. We've got our inner ear that's telling us where we're at. We have our eyes, and then we have our receptors in our joints, specifically in our foot, telling us what's going on the floor. Don't rush it. Take your time. So let's think about, we start off nice and easily. In that tree pose, we're going to slowly bring our weight up. So on that one foot, I want you to feel your foot pawing at the ground. Feel it grabbing the floor. Take your time. When you're ready, slowly let that leg transition across your body, but still keep yourself tall. Then slowly sit into the position wherever your body's going to allow you based on that mobility. We're not in a hurry, guys. Having that conversation with yourself and the ground. And then when you're ready, we're going to try to hold our position with our hip and with our knee. Let that foot come behind us nice and easily, and then stand up into that stretch, owning our position again. It's never a race. It's a conversation with you and the world around you. A lot of people are just not mindful of how their body moves through space. Instead, they wear shoes that be the equivalent of wearing boxing gloves to do everything with your life. And then you wonder why your wrist doesn't work and your hand doesn't work like it's supposed to. Because we literally aren't using those muscles, getting that feedback from our feet like we were beforehand. So take your time, guys. We're in no big hurry. Breathe your way through it. After you guys get through that cycle on both sides, we're going to go ahead and have a little bit of fun with working on our frog pose and then a little bit of transitioning in the bottom of the squat. Now, everything we do, you listen to your body. You're not worrying about what I'm doing. You're not worrying about what anybody else is doing. You're just worrying about what you can do. So don't try to punish yourself with any of this. Instead, focus on listening to your body, letting it give you what it can, and letting it tell you when you're asking too much. So we're going to go ahead, be more towards the front of your mat. And then when you're ready, we're going to go ahead and let ourselves, first by pushing our hips back behind us, and then by driving those knees out, letting ourselves squat all the way, nice and low, into the bottom of that squat, wherever it meets us at. Now notice I'm a tight tiger. There's a big gap between the floor and my butt, because it turns out I like to pick up heavy things and my mobility shows it, and that's okay. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and then think about reaching back behind myself as far as I can with my right hand, nice and easily. And then I'm going to push my hips up and I'm going to bridge back nice and easily. From there, I'm going to let my hips come back down, let myself rock forward, and then bring myself back into the bottom of that squat. Now that I'm here, I'm going to plant my right hand right outside in front of my right foot, and I'm going to open my shoulders as far as I can, but I'm tight and I'm trying to get that to open up, and that's okay. And then I'm going to come down to the other side and open up as far as I can, and then bring myself back down. And then I'm going to reach back behind me with that other arm, and then really focus on opening those hips up, reaching on through and breathing into it as we go. Bring myself back down, and then bring myself back into the bottom of that squat. Now, once you guys have gone through that cycle, we can work on a little bit of frog pose if you're feeling saucy, and think about balancing on those hands. It's okay if you don't want to. Instead, I want you guys to just think about taking a little break, standing it on up, getting a couple nice easy breaths, and then working our way back down. Don't be in a hurry. Listen to your body. And remember, if you feel like you're going to fall or otherwise, let yourself fall on your butt. Don't be afraid to move around some couch cushions. And don't feel like you need to rush from one position to the next. So, meet yourself in the bottom of that squat again. When you're ready, try and reach behind yourself nice and easily with one of those hands. There you go, Alexio. And try to push your hips up as far forward as you can. There you go. And now hips back down. Let yourself, good job. Transition easily forward, good. Now keep the one hand on the ground. Open those shoulders up as far as you can. So one arm reaching to that ceiling behind you. Good. Breathe into it nice and slowly, and then transition to the other side. Don't be in a hurry, guys. Listen to your body. Is someone having some issues with the Hey, that's okay, Alexio. Is someone having issues with dogs interrupting their practice this morning?
Yes.
That's the reason why I haven't used the N word, because I do not want my puppy to show up.
Norbert?
Don't do that. Don't throw that mojo on me. It's been nice and calm so far, aside from barking at nothing about 3 or 4 times during the biomechanics lecture, because that's how he rolls.
Oh, wow.
You know, the joys of pet ownership. So take your time, guys. After we've gone through that cycle 2 to 3 times, let's go ahead and get everybody to kind of stand on up again so I can see where we're at. Good, Alexio. Try to use that hand planted on the ground to not let that knee buckle in on the other side. Okay. Now, I brought up what's known as the frog pose earlier. I don't expect all of you guys to try this. It is one of those situations where if you're not careful, you can go head first to the earth, and that's never the intent with any of this. Instead, it's hopefully, once again, having good conversation with your body and letting yourself move through space. So what that means, guys, if you want to go something a little bit more challenging, we're going to go ahead and we're going to sit back and down nice and easily into the bottom of that squat again. So letting ourselves get all the way down in there to the best of our ability. Then I'm going to put my elbows inside of my knees. From that position, I'm going to let myself come forward with a big letter W with my hands on the ground in front of me. Now, from there, I'm going to let myself transition nice and easily and allow myself to balance on those hands, where I'm going to feel the tension in my hands, focus on holding my balance and controlling my body. That's the frog pose. And I pushed back too far. That was fun. So if you'd like to, you can go ahead and try that, but you do not need to. I'm getting the feeling of a lot of people are not in the mood to try it, and that's okay. Now, what can also be fun, if we are to bring ourselves back into that basic frog pose position of letting ourselves sit down as low as we can at the bottom of the squat, bringing ourselves down, controlling our balance, holding ourselves, and then pop back and press into that downward dog. Single leg to the ceiling, trying to get that heel to touch the floor, and then let us bring ourselves nice and gently into that pigeon pose. And I want you to hunt around those corners, bias to the right, bias to the left, really try to get that hip to release wherever we feel that tension. So when we're doing these positions, guys, it's important that you are listening to your body. So if I try to get my leg more in front of me, this is just too much torque in my hip for how tight I happen to be here, that I'm, as you can see, we can get a big gap between me and the ground, where I can be far more comfortable if I'm a little tighter, but then I still bias my weight to the outside of that hip to feel the better of a stretch. Now we're gonna go ahead, press ourselves back into the single leg downward dog, switch those feet, bring ourselves to the other side, pressing through nice and easily. And now let's just go ahead again and meet ourselves in that downward dog on the other side. Stretching on into it, letting our body relax wherever it meets us at. Nice and easily going back and forth at least 3 times on each side. Do not be in a hurry. Do not be in a hurry. Take your time. Don't be in a hurry. Let it stretch out, guys. Breathe into it. Breathe into it. How are we doing, guys? Good. I feel like I'm getting the view of kind of how the dog sees us. Everybody's camera is kind of from the lower going up angle, so I can't really tell what's going on the ground. But once you've had a chance to go through on both sides, go ahead and we'll bring ourselves back to our feet so I can see where everybody's at. I want you to go ahead and grab yourself some type of cushion. So this can be a couch cushion, this can be a pillow, whatever you prefer. So we're going to go ahead, put that on the ground about midway through our mat. So we're going to start off nice and easily, leveraging ourselves as flat to the ground as we can. Ooh, there's me losing my balance. Directly in front of ourselves, holding our positions, and then we're going to let ourselves rock back into that warrior one, breathing into it, keeping this knee out over this ankle so we're straight down, breathing into it, owning our position. From there, we're going to lean back, keeping this leg locked, leg on the 45, so it's toe facing forward, heel going back, reaching as far back into it as we can, and then allowing ourselves to come back forward, reaching then for that instep to the ground and pressing back into that tension in that hip and hamstring. And then we're going to go ahead and nice and easily bring ourselves back into that warrior. Now we're going to rotate this foot so we're now in a straight line with our front foot and our rear foot, breathing into that hip flexor, leaning back, squeezing both our butt cheeks, keeping ourselves nice and tall. And then when we're ready, we're going to go ahead and nice and gently transition to that pad, still breathing into it, pushing those hips forward, feeling that stretch on the front of the hip. Then when you're ready, we're going to try to get that elbow all the way down into that instep, breathing into it as we do, owning that position. And then we're going to go ahead, grab that toe on our way back as we rock back onto that heel to the best of our ability. Then from there, we're going to go ahead and transition easily to getting both of those knees underneath us. You don't necessarily need to be on the pad here. I just have it here because my knees don't necessarily like me from a lot of the heavy lifting I like to do. And then we're going to go ahead and relax down on our haunches, trying to get our heels mostly underneath our butt. I have enough mass between my hamstrings and my calves, surprisingly, to keep myself propped up above, and that's okay. Other folks don't, and that's fine. And then we're going to transition and lean back as comfortably as we can, as far as our body's going to allow us in the position. Not trying to render flesh from bone. We're listening to our body, relaxing back. Now, that's where, in certain situations, I can go ahead and bring in things like a chair so I can literally just lean back into it. And it's going to limit how far I can go back, and it's going to allow me to fully relax in that position. You guys need to go ahead and utilize whatever you need to. It can be hands on the ground, it can be elbows on the ground, it can be just leaning back a little bit is more than enough. But after we've come and enjoyed this position, we're now going to go ahead and let ourselves come on forward and meet ourselves in that stretch, breathing on into it as far as we can on the opposite side, relaxing and owning it. And then when we're ready, let's go ahead and transition on forward and try to get that elbow into our instep. And then when we're ready there, we're going to bring ourselves up, get ourselves into that hip flexor stretch, pressing those hips forward, getting that stretch from the front side, breathing as we go, not trying to, once again, punish ourselves with it. We're going to see, I'm going to dig my toe into the ground behind me. And then when I'm ready, I'm going to go ahead and push my hips forward one last time. And then I'm going to drive nice and gently with this front leg to get myself back into that lunge, back into that lunge. Then, now that I've owned this position, for a nice easy breath, we're going to go ahead and rotate and get ourselves back into that warrior. And then we're going to work our way back out how we first came, breathing into it, opening up behind us, pressing on back into that tension, breathing into it nice and easily, and then bring ourselves back on up, and then leaning back as far as it's going to allow us, nice and easily, not in any hurry, just owning our positions. And then the challenge, folks, of thinking about shifting your weight behind you and then shifting it forward and owning your position, bring yourself forward as tabletop as you can, owning your positions. And then when you're ready, nice and easily, bringing yourself back up. And then letting yourself step out for a moment. It's okay. It's okay. It's not a sobriety check. It's just meant to be, once again, conversation with you in your body, moving through space. So yes, then we're going to start back how we started before, on that left leg, leaning on forward, owning our position, breathing on into it, reaching forward if we feel comfortable, and then letting ourselves transition back, nice and easily, breathing on into it. Reaching behind. And then reaching for that floor. And then bring ourselves back on up. Turning that rear leg, getting ourselves on that straight line, breathing on into it. Owning our positions, and then when we're ready, once again, nice and gently, letting ourselves transition to the floor, letting that rear leg foot go flat and pushing those hips forward, getting into that hip flexor. Good. Elbow to the instep, rocking back into that stretch, getting that leg beneath us, sitting back as far as we feel comfortable, and then we're going to come forward back again, meeting ourselves in that stretch initially, breathing into it, rocking forward, trying to bring that elbow to the instep, and then bring ourselves back up into that hip flexor stretch. And then nice and easily pressing ourselves up into that lunge, breathing into it nice and strong, getting that stretch in the hip flexor, opening up, breathing to the side, and then reaching back, reaching forward, pressing back into that stretch, bring ourselves back into that stretch, and then transitioning nice and confidently forward, holding that position, breathing into it. We're not in a hurry. We're controlling our body in space and time. We're owning our positions. Take your time, guys. I simply blew through it so I can watch you guys do it. Because remember, if you can't breathe in the position, you don't own the position. So take your time, spend a good breath, at least in each of those, and then worry about transitioning to the next one. We're not in a hurry. We're not trying to punish ourselves with movement. So, the next part we're going to go ahead and do. Go ahead, guys, take your time, working your way through them. Go one more time through that cycle. Don't be in a hurry. Nice. Try not to let your hips kick out to the left, LA. Think about when we're in that single leg position, my hips are square. I'm not letting myself rock. I'm keeping my hips right underneath me. I like the freestyle dancing. I don't know if flossing is necessary. Good, folks. Take your time, take your time. Be right back. I'm going to grab myself a little bit of water. Well, hello, Einstein. All right, folks. Now that we're all back on our feet again, except for one of us, and that's okay. Take your time. We're in no hurry. So I've got a chair in front of me to help with trying to open up my back when we go into the child's pose in a moment. This is not necessary, but if you have a prop that you can have in front of you, it's going to make things a little bit easier. So when you guys are ready, we're going to go ahead. We're going to start off a little bit further back on our mat this time. Feet once again, about shoulder width, hip width apart, wherever we feel comfortable. We're going to go ahead and let ourselves think about pushing those hips back behind us, driving those knees out to the side, squatting down nice and easily into the bottom of that squat. Now from here, we're just going to nice and gently allow ourselves to transition forward. So we're going to go knee to the ground, relaxing on down where we feel comfortable. And then for the child's pose, I've got the chair in front of me, and I'm just going to reach through and try to get it to open up that back, allow it to stretch me out, move that chair a little bit further away so I can get a little bit more of my weight forward, and then think about reaching through. Deep breath in, and then trying to pull that rib cage down, breathing into it. It's not a race, it's not a hurry. I can go ahead and bias my hands to one side so I can make that stretch a little bit more severe on one side. And then I can go ahead and bias my hands to the other and go ahead, reach on through, just breathe. Just trying to relax on through as far as I am capable. Breathing through it, owning my positions, not being in any hurry. Good. After you guys have worked through that child's pose, we're going to go ahead and nice and easily transition to get our hips on the floor, legs in front of ourselves, and we're simply going to allow ourselves to go into a forward fold, wherever it meets us at, breathing on into it. From there, we're going to go ahead and allow our feet to come in and relax, trying to let those knees touch the ground on either side. I'm trying to relax, but it turns out I'm a bit of a tight tiger. That's okay. Breathing into it, relaxing on into it, wherever it meets us at. Nice and easily. Then let's go ahead and allow those feet to be out nice and wide. Relaxing down to the center. Nice and easily breathing into it. Transitioning to that right side. Spending a nice, easy, slow 2 breaths in each position. And then transitioning to that other side. A nice and easy, slow 2 breaths. And then let's go ahead. And when you're ready, be careful of where you're at in the space. Relaxing on back, arms out in a big letter T. And now we're going to try and put our left foot in our right hand. My legs are really long, so I overshoot it. We're just trying to let those shoulders touch the ground, stretch into that hamstring. At the same time, we're hopefully getting a little bit in that low back and that hip to relax. And then we're going to go ahead, bring those legs back to the center, and let's go ahead and go across our body to that other side. Stretching on into it, letting it allow us to relax ever so slightly. And let's go ahead, bring those legs back to the center. We can have our palms to the ceiling, wherever we feel comfortable. We're just going to go ahead and start from the top of our head. And just whenever we find muscles that are tight, we're going to let them relax. So we'll start with our scalp. Then we'll move to our eyes, to our cheeks, to our jaw, to our mouth, to our neck, to our shoulders. Relaxing if we find any tension in our arms or our hands. Relaxing any tension we might find in our chest or in our stomach. Relaxing any tension we might be finding in our hips, in our thighs, in our calves, or in our feet. Work your way through that cycle nice and easily. One more time. Try to relax and remove any tension wherever you find it. Now when you're ready, gently let one hand be on your stomach and let the other hand be on your chest. I want you to spend 5 breaths focusing on all of that breathing in, occurring through your stomach, and not breathing through your chest. So your chest should not be rising, it should all be through your diaphragm. And whenever you're ready, go ahead and bring yourself back to the room. Thank you, folks, for joining me today. You have all survived, and have yourselves a great day.